Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be making my own spin on beef and broccoli. I've got my top loin steak from Whole Foods, some broccoli, peppers, ginger, green onions, and some seasoning. So let's get right into it. I start off by cleaning my meats with vinegar in water and I just let them soak and tenderize for a little bit. It's optional, but I don't know what conditions the meat was in at the butcher shop. So, they could have dropped it on the floor or whatever. So I just want to rinse it for a little bit. And this is honestly how you can see if this is a fresh piece of meat. If you've ever been to a butcher or worked around them, you know that when it comes to old meat, they press it in blood. If they got brown meat that they're trying to resell, they'll press it in blood. And the easiest way to tell is once it's soaked, you'll see all of that brown meat. So once I was done soaking this meat, I was able to see that it was still its true red color and it was fresh. And as you see in the background, I'm just going ahead and soaking my vegetables in baking soda and some vinegar and water. And I like doing this because these are organic vegetables. So a lot of times, there might be little gnats or little ants, particles, hair, all types of crazy things in the nooks and crannies. So I always soak my vegetables. So here I'm just going in and cutting my pieces of meat. Each piece is horizontal or either vertical, and they're like finger length size. I want long pieces of meat. I don't want little small little bite sizes. I want them to be big. So I'm just going in and cutting each piece of meat. So this is how my meat looks once it's all sliced up. I'm gonna put a little bit of baking soda. Now, the secret weapon for this recipe is the cornstarch. This is what's gonna make every piece of meat nice and crisp and have a little crunch to it since we're not, deep frying it or everything. That cornstarch is gonna set your recipe apart from someone else's who doesn't. So now I'm going in, I'm putting in my black pepper, that was some minced garlic. I've got some white pepper I'm putting in, just a little bit of soy sauce to give it that brown color as well. And I'm just mixing that in as well. But guys, if you do not have cornstarch, don't try to make this recipe. You have to have cornstarch. Now I just want to show you, this is the bowl that the vegetables were soaking in. Look at all that sand and all that dirt. So I'm glad that we soaked that off. So now I'm just going in and I'm cutting my green onions. I don't want that sprout part at the bottom, but for the green onions, I'm gonna make them a nice size. Like that size, 2 to 3 inches each, because you really want it to stand out in this meal in the dish. So you want to make them at like 2 to 3 size inch cuts a piece. And then I'm going to put a small piece to the side for garnishing once we're done with the meal, just to garnish the plates at the end. But for this purpose, we're going to just put them in 2 to 3 inches. So now I'm going in and I'm just slicing up my peppers. And for my peppers, and then eventually for my regular onions, I want these in long strips. I want them in like long vertical strips so you can see them and you can enjoy each piece. Now for my onion slices, I'm just using a quarter piece of onion. I don't want this dish to be overpowered with onion flavor. That's not the flavor that I want. So I'm just using a quarter piece of a white onion. And once again, I'm going in with those vertical slices. Now here's another secret weapon. I'm going in with a few pieces of ginger. The ginger just gives it a sweet taste. It balances out that sweet, the salt, and the tangy flavor, and it's a nice little add piece to put in this recipe. It's to your tasting, so if you want a small piece, cut it up. I always slice off the skin, but I'm gonna try to chop it up in as many small pieces as I can. I don't want big globs of it. I just want really, really, really small pieces. So now I'm just chopping up my broccoli into individual pieces. I'm gonna take off the stalk part and yeah, just chop it up into small pieces. So now that all my vegetables are chopped up, I've got some water boiling in the background, and I'm gonna add my broccoli to that boiling water for a little bit. And then in this pan, I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of canola oil just to sear these vegetables just a little bit. I don't want them, brown too much. I want you to still be able to enjoy the freshness and the greenness of the vegetables. So I'm just gonna go in and brown those just a little bit. And now also in the background, I had a pan of water boiling to go ahead and put in some of this organic long grain white rice. Um, just for this rice purposely, since it's organic and whatnot, I didn't rinse it first, but I normally do rinse my rice, but for this one, I did not. But I've added it to that boiling water. I'm gonna let that simmer in the back. So now at this point, I'm gonna remove the vegetables from the pan. They just started to get a little brown, and that's right where I want them at. I don't want them to be like burnt and crispy. I still want to be able to enjoy the greenness of them. And in that same pan, I'm gonna add some more oil, and then this is the pan that I'm going to put the steak in. Now, once your pan and your oil is nice and hot, you want to go ahead and add in that steak, and the smell and the crisp and the sound of everything just started to sound amazing. I'm gonna let y'all listen to it. And now, after about 4 minutes, I went ahead and flipped the steak. Some of the pieces were starting to stick together, so as I'm flipping it, I'm just breaking them apart from sticking together. Now, as I'm doing that, I'm probably going to let that other side of the steak cook for about a good 4 to 5 minutes, and then it'll be time to take it out the pan. Now, once it starts to sound and look like this, I'm sorry, but I had to go ahead and try a piece. Let me show y'all how tender this cut of steak was from Whole Foods. It just sliced like butter. It wasn't no yum 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 chewy in your mouth. It just melts in your mouth. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and take the rest of this steak out. I'm gonna let it drain on a napkin in my little bowl, and I'm gonna put that to the side for a few minutes. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and add a quarter piece of butter to the same pan. I went ahead and cleaned out the pan, but I'm adding a quarter piece of butter and the Korean barbecue sauce to the pan. I'm gonna let that marinate, and then I'm adding back in the vegetables that we cooked a little while ago, and then I'm gonna add in the steak. Now, once it starts bubbling and sounding all gooey and just delicious, I'm gonna go in and add my sesame seeds for garnishing. They don't really have a taste to me, but I'm adding them in on top for garnishing. And remember that green onion I put to the side? I sliced it up really small, and I'm gonna garnish the top of the pan with that as well. And at this point, we're pretty much done. It looks amazing, smells amazing, and I can't wait to put it over some rice. So, yeah. I went ahead and added some green onions to my white rice just for garnishing, just to make it, look a little more festive. And now I've got my broccoli over there. I'm going to go ahead and strain it, and then we'll be ready to plate this meal. And this is the finished product. Came out amazing. Let me know your thoughts. Would you try it? Would you tweak it? What would you do?